Even in this, my son, thou shalt not do amiss. If thou restrain the expression shoot, thy glance to rapture's darkling roots, discarding name, form, sight, and stress, even of this high consciousness. Pierce to the heart, I leave thee here. Thou art the master I revere, thy radiance that rules afar. Oh, brother of the silver star.
There are 7 keys to the great gate, being 8 in 1 and 1 in 8. First let the body of thee be still, bound by the cerements of will. Corpse rigid, thus thou mayst abhor the fidget babes that tease the thought. Next let the breath rhythm be low, easy, regular, and slow, so that thy being be in tune with the great sea's Pacific swoon. Third, let thy life be pure and calm, swayed softly as a windless palm.
Fourth, let the will to live be bound to the one love of the profound. Fifth, let the thought divinely free from sense observe its entity.
Watch every thought that springs, enhance hour after hour thy vigilance, intense and keen, turned inward miss. No atom of analysis, fixed on one thought securely pinned, still every whisper of the wind.
So like a flame, straight and unstirred, burn up thy being in one word.
Next, still that ecstasy prolong, thy meditation steep and strong.
Slaying even God, should he distract thy attention from the chosen act.
Blast all these things in one o'erpowered time that the midnight blossom flowered.
The oneness is yet even in this, my son, thou shalt not do amiss.
If thou restrain the expression shoot,
no one thinks that you're racist. I'm sorry,
It been that simple.
I'm gonna give it to you, Delilah, if you want to speak, but no one is coming to the conclusion or illusion that you're racist. No one is having to say, oh my God, everything is just racial. But let's just be honest, people, if we're black people, we know this happened in the state of Mississippi. This is to be expected of black people anyway. But you feel guilty when you make up all the excuses except for you trying to disassociate yourself from ever having any contact with no one. I don't mean to be long with it, but I'll give it to somebody else.
you're good. I wanted to pass it to Pearlie. Pearlie, you said there's a new theory? Pearlie going once.
Hi. Okay, sorry. So today I heard this theory that everybody is just protecting Bart because he's like the local hometown hero boy, because they're like really pressed on him because he plays football at Wyoming, and like something happened because I guess, you know, Katie and Nolan were together, and that was like Bart's formerly girlfriend or whatever. I don't know if that's it's worth its salt. It's just I had never heard of that one before. I don't know if anyone else has.
Oh yeah, I've been saying that one, Pearlie, but okay, one sec. Yeah. Okay. I've been saying it for a while now, but I've been told that it's not true. Bart never dated Katie. It's a big nothing burger, but I said that. And I said boinking, and people was like, what the hell is boinking? Yeah, it's an old school term. Nolan was boinking Katie, and Bart was away at school, so they were kind of like, it was his girl, but not really his girl anymore because he's away. And yes, I have heard that he is headed for the NFL. He's a punter. And I also heard that Bart kind of alleged that he was in Wyoming. I wasn't even on Horn Island, and come to find out he was. So, I don't know, again.
They said he never came home. They said he was not even in the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, and then we come to find out that he was.
And he was on the recording. That recording, one of the clearest things you could hear is, Bart, what the fuck did you do? I think Bart was...
I didn't hear that. Did you? Wait, did anyone else hear that?
I heard now listen now. We all heard that. Don't do that.
No. We heard damn it, Bart. We heard damn it, Bart. That's what you go. Damn it, Bart was what we heard. That's it.
What did you do? I heard what did you do?
No,
I heard what did you do?
Tomato.
Bart was on that goddamn boat. And Bart is the one who probably killed him. And to be honest with you, nobody has said a goddamn thing about Bart.
Another thing. Don't put too much dip on that chip, Total. Yeah, another thing with Bart, they said that
Allegedly.
Hey guys, real quick. I watch a lot of Law and Order.
Hold on. Who was speaking? Y'all just was that LeBron?
Yeah, man. Man, that's been my culprit also at Bart got. Plus, they say that he has a history. His family's also was in the NFL, so he's one of these real privileged cats. And I think it's a situation where he probably got into a fight with Nolan and ended up, you know, like I go back to what one lady was saying. You know, if it may be an accident, you know, but he fought it and he ended up killing him. And now it's a big cover up because none of the other friends want to go against Bart, you know, because of Mississippi and because, you know, the situation. But I think it's going to end up coming out that Bart killed him. Bart haven't even heard anything from him. You didn't want any type of interview. He's just out of the way.
Interesting. That's a good point, LeBron.
Yeah, real quick, what I was trying to say is, I know the law, and I watch a lot of Law and Order and all that. If somebody has the motive, somebody was with your girl, then they hear a voice, the person said your name. I don't care if he said, Bart, what are you doing? Or damn Bart, or damn Bart, give me my phone. Whatever he said, the guy who said that he was not there was there. He has motive. The no one motive be sex, a girl. And then on top of that, there's so much inconsistencies in the thing where the man didn't have his phone. A teen never separates from their phone. So with all these things going on, and then the sheriff come out and say there's nothing to see here, no foul play, like in first quarter, that's ridiculous.
King, how long you been in football? Who is your lieutenant? Hold on, Toto.
Don't do it, concrete. We're not questioning people. We're talking about the clip. Let's go.
No, another thing.
So the reason why it came out that people were saying that Bart was
Don't be first one.
The reason I'm not, we're two different people. The reason why it came out about the Bart and this girl dating is because there was a picture that went viral. But what ended up coming, everybody already identified who that girl was. But there's a bunch of pictures with him with a particular girl that, I mean, someone looks like her, but they went to high school together and they were dating. It's not Katie.
You know something I thought about? You know, like when O.J. Simpson was on trial, and all these other folks on trial, you know, there's usually a criminal attorney that will be involved. They can bring up the criminal aspect of it. It's interesting to me that Ben Crump is the civil attorney. He's dealing with civil, so he's dealing with that civil suit and some money to get the family paid. But it's very interesting to me that the legal team hasn't gotten a criminal attorney that can handle that criminal side. It's just like they're going from the civil side, but there's no criminal.
Hello?
Yeah, but why isn't there a criminal attorney on his team?
Because why would there be a criminal attorney on his team? He's the victim.
No, you don't understand what I'm saying. Ben Crump is coming from money for a civil suit to get money for the family. Why isn't there a criminal attorney? Why haven't they secured a criminal attorney that can do the criminal side and bring these guys up and tell you?
The state will do it. The state will do it.
No,
The state will be the prosecutor.
Yeah.
One second.
The state will prosecute.
I know you hear me saying 1 second. So I learned today, many of us learned today, they do have a second, I don't recall his name. Titi, can you help me? Is it Ahmad Smith? I think his name is Ahmad. There's a local attorney they have.
He's been on the team since day one, but that's still separate. So I think that we need to clarify. Representing the family has no criminal dealings. So their attorney is representing their interests. In criminal proceedings, the state brings the case. That would be the prosecutor. And then the defendants hire their own attorney. So the family wouldn't hire someone to prosecute, and they're not going to hire someone to defend the person that murdered their son. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So
I'm glad you clarified that, but I'm just saying, isn't it strange that they aren't coming at these guys? I mean, because as far as lie detectors,
let it go. I don't know why.
I think what this will lead us. I was talking first, please. Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So LeBron, what they could do is hire private investigators who are gathering information that they could use to present to the prosecutor and so on and so forth.
Isn't that what a mind for? That and preservation of evidence or something?
What? You're saying to interfere in a state investigation so your whole shit can be fucked up?
That's what's more.
You're saying
exactly.
Well,
Lawyers hire PIs all the time.
So-
It's like, come on, brother. So you get hired as an attorney. Wouldn't you get a PI to kind of see what they can
Wait, Divine, I think what Pearlie is saying is that, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the idea would be you would hire an attorney to manage the family as well as at the conclusion of any criminal case, any civil case that you might have, but you wouldn't necessarily want the attorney to interfere with the state because of like things like evidentiary rules and the chain of evidence. Like what your attorney, what the family's personal attorney might find may not be admissible in court to the prosecutors because there might not be a link that the prosecution would be able to show that the evidence was not gotten outside of evidentiary rules in Mississippi and the like.
Yeah, but we're talking about the phone theory when
Well said.
and T
Tiana about the phone.
Well, as a seasoned
What
clubhouse
is going
detective,
on?
as a
So
seasoned
they actually have an attorney that's supposed to be doing a joint forensic thing with the phone.
As a seasoned clubhouse detective, I would liaison with the police department and have a professional conversation discussing their avenues of attack. And I would then take alternate avenues of attack. And of course, the most procedurally
What is
sound
going
way,
on?
because I'm a licensed clubhouse detective, which
I hate it
means
here.
that while, as you should, which means that while, it means, it's very ghetto, which means that while there is
The way you said very ghetto is funny.
hold on, aunties, hold on, aunties. Which means
He's a
while
Negro.
there
The
is-
performative.
One second, aunties. Which means that while there is a risk of stepping on toes and contamination or whatever, would mitigate against that by having professional courtesy discussing ideas with
Just a normal.
You do realize that police departments are like dick measuring contests? So they get upset. So pause. They get upset when the feds come in. When anybody else joint investigation, there's going to be a problem. You think they're letting private investigators anywhere near this? Can y'all be for real right now? Like, this is so
It
disrespectful.
would be illegal to
It's
include
so
them.
disrespectful.
It would be illegal to try to hamper anything that they wanted to do that was well within the boundaries of the law. What are you talking about?
Now,
You're just making stuff up.
now, Pearlie,
Yeah.
you know
She leaning on one side.
that
Oh no, don't mind
when we
me.
come in,
Just the
when we
civil
come in-
lawyer. Like, what did
when we
y'all be
come in
killing
these
me?
rooms,
Let's
we
ask
don't
AI.
know if we are conversing with the town drunk, the military, or a genius. So just keep that in mind when some people come off their mic.
Alright, maybe we should have finished the clip. I don't know if Patty still able to play.
Oh my god.
All right, yeah.
You guys said you ended up going and looking for Nolan the next morning, but you said you were thinking about doing it that night.
Yes.
And why didn't you do it that night?
So we already called the Coast Guard at this point. We didn't have access to a boat that was already in the water ready to go, other than one that I'm just not allowed to use at all. And I was still this close to taking it out. I mean, I was
So you guys go the next morning, you look for, can you explain how did that happen? Who was looking for Nolan? Who was on the boat? Was it multiple boats?
Multiple boats.
Okay, can you explain that? Who was out of this group? Who was on what boat? Or who was on a boat or not going out looking for Nolan?
So, me, Wyatt, and Trayson got in the boat. We got in the Palm Beach that morning, the morning after, and we rode out to the islands, and we were met by a DMR. It was seven DMR boats already out there, DMR and park rangers. We talked to them, we gave them all of our information. They personally asked if any of us were on the boat with him that day. We told them yes. They just said, all right, well, when we got the area scoped out, and then after that, we just went up to the beach. I think we met up with y'all in the water.
I took my boat out with Jax.
Yeah.
A couple of friends of mine, and then my mom and my stepdad.
Oh, they were out there too with you?
Correct. And I just met Morgan and Wyatt and Trayson and his girlfriend out there. And we actually, when I rolled up, I parked up next to Morgan and everybody was with him. And I was like, well, y'all can run around, or we all planned this out. Morgan was going to run around the south side while we covered the north side. And we were just going to try to take us, cover as much ground as possible. But, there were so many DMR boats and helicopters and drones and everything else out there. I don't really know what an 18 and a 25-foot bay boat is really going to do. So, we sat out there, we went for a couple hours, we looked around and we searched, but we also don't fit the requirement that DMR has, the tools that DMR and United Cajun Navy and
and all these departments have to look for somebody. Like, I mean, we didn't put that much of a help out, but yes, of course, we went out there, looked for a friend. That's not a question.
Who else in the friend group was out there? Did you see Nolan's family? Did you see some of the other kids that showed up at your house? You see anybody else out there?
We did see we met up with a coach that was previously Nolan's high school coach. We met up with him. They said that they had previously already been on the island. They walked a good bit down the island both ways, and they were just driving around the island like we were doing. And we eventually got off the island. We got on this rip current. It was going west out towards like Ship Island and then back towards Biloxi. And we drove that for a couple miles. People were also looking on that too. There was multiple boats out there not associated with DMR with binoculars. There was people fishing the rip, and we asked them, like, they rode it all the way from Ocean Springs all the way out to Horn Island, and we were like, did you see anything, blah, blah, blah. Because, I mean, if a person is floating in the water, treading water, they are going to be most likely in the rip, and that all comes into play with the washing machine. I mean, you got Fort Island washing machine for Fort Island and Ship Island. I mean, they come like this, and then there's no island right here, so it just tons of water flows through. The tide goes out. I mean, sometimes it gets pretty gnarly in there, and it creates this big old pool, basically. And I mean, if someone was floating, treading water out in the water, that's where they would be. They could be hung up, they could grab onto a log and float with a piece of driftwood or something, or they could find a channel marker or buoy and grab onto that. So, I mean, there was just main keys that you search for, like when you're trying to search for a missing person that has to do with water. And, I mean, it's either the island, the buoys, or the rip, and then after that there's not really anything else you can do, seriously.
And when did you guys communicate with law enforcement? Because the internet I think has this false information that you guys never contacted authorities, and that Warren actually talked to me, or you guys talked to me first before you engaged. So when did you guys actually talk to them and give your statements to them?
So as soon as we got off the water from searching for Nolan,
just on the day of the 5th.
Yeah, the 5th. As soon as we got off the water, I got a phone call. I believe you got a phone call too. I got a phone call while we were out there. Yeah, I got a phone call as well. So basically what it was saying was, hey, take a few questions over the phone, answer the questions, and then they had a date for us to come in for actual questioning. And mine was the 6th, there's like the next day or something like that, you know. I think theirs was 2. I don't know. Yeah, mine was 7. I would like to say, but not for sure. But mine was around, or it was like we all cooperated fully. It's not like we had some full cooperation from the start. Yeah, really.
So how deep did they go in this interview with you guys?
They asked all the way. I mean, they asked,
how long was the interview? Like, was it an
hour and a half. I dialed it over across the region. That's what my friends like. Let's go in there and like say every detail, like even what you like eat for breakfast that morning. It doesn't matter everything you have, because like anything can help. You literally never know. Like it's what we all did. Like we all cooperated. We all wanted to help. We all did everything that we could to help. Like for this situation, it's not like we just like.
Hey, just real quick, isn't it interesting that they dotted every I, crossed every T, but none of them can answer exactly which day they were.
Like this, like, but it's like, look, the laws of physics give you what they are on my analysis, where it's like, this is just saying, if you left the physical stuff alone, here's what it would do. That's all still true. And these universes with deviant constants where God, like, poofs the money around them. None of that is false. And you might say, like, well, isn't the bunny rabbit like a supernatural entity at that world? And it's like, yeah, maybe. But so what,
Yeah, not so much.
That's the semantic. Right, yeah. That's kind of where it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, okay, wait. I might come back to that, but I just want to say, probably more likely what they're going to say about this is that, yeah, okay, there are all these options, perhaps, for how you might get life, either on design, not design, and there are more of them than, like, you might think there are, just looking at which ones are quote-unquote life-permitting in this sense that they describe. Okay, because you could get life or complex structures. At other sorts of,
or anything.
Yeah.
Actually, the way I run it was just into like getting another feature where it's like basically the constants can't stop that from getting that stuff. Like
Yeah. But I suspect what they would say, and I'm sure Miles would say something like this, but I don't necessarily want to put words in the mouth, is that true, but if you look at the likelihood that you would get that value at non-design worlds, even taking into account that their value or whatever could obtain at world that I'm like putting in a sense, it's still going to be way smaller than the likelihood that you would get value at design worlds, even though the design world could achieve it by.
That's where you move into this. Like so.
Yeah.
When I first run the argument, what I want to do is get to the relative likelihood premise being false with the original fine-tuning argument and say, okay, well, if God is indifferent across the constants because like life-permitting constants are neither.
They're not going to want to say he's indifferent across the constants because
right. So that's still. Yeah. Then they're still in the first stage of the argument because for me the idea is to do it as like they want to run it. The more sophisticated people want to run the argument as like value selection, okay. And I want to say, okay, but then we can talk about, on theism, what is the value of the constants falling in this range, where like structures could form if you left the physical stuff alone, right? So the idea is like that there isn't actually a reason to think that would be especially valuable in it's true, it's like omnitheism or perfect being theism or classical theism. And the reason is because constants like that are neither intrinsically valuable nor are they in any sort of sensible way like instrumental to other things of value that God might want to achieve, right? Because
no, but they're gonna deny it. So like they're usually gonna say something like, no, but it is valuable to have constants and laws like that because having a sort of regular, more or less predictable world and something.
Yeah, but I'm arguing you would still actually. A regular world is already background because all the worlds are regular. They all have the same law structure. They just have different constants. Which presumably you could learn if God gave you the right epistemic faculties. Let's say, right?
They have to be fairly irregular, at least when it comes to the realization of these valuable things, right? If we're talking about worlds which are not life-permitting, but nevertheless life obtains, or something else.
It depends what you mean, because like they might be recognizable as supernatural or miracles or something like that. Maybe not perfectly, like so. You would still only be able to have credences associated with that, or whatever, as opposed to certainty. But yeah, I mean, like you might be able to recognize that they're great miracles, but I don't like this. Why does the scale of the miracle matter? Like that I don't know.
Take the case where it's like I don't know given the actual laws and values of the constants, maybe the cosmological constant is too high and everything.
Yeah, like say it's something like this, so, like you have the Milky Way is like the Milky Way is a big miraculous bubble, and so for like most of human history, everything's exactly the same. The night sky looks exactly the same, blah blah blah, and then like we only realize these things about the broader universe like much later. That like the constants are like this.
Yeah, well, that's the sort of thing that I'm imagining. So I was imagining that like you had everything else was falling apart, but then for some reason you set up like, you know, the solar system or perhaps the galaxy, and then like the Garden of Eden or whatever, and then set up. How plausible is that sort of creation conditional on theism, or you know, whatever the sort of value directed design it? Well, is that comparably kind of likely or expected to something like? Well, it didn't make them sort of discontinuous in this way. It was just all part of a more or less regular universe, you know, in the way that we actually think of it. I think there's a case to be made that it's not. It's sort of unnecessarily more complex, and at least it makes things epistemically more inaccessible to us. That can make it hard to tell like what's going on apart from the little bubble. So, I don't know. Like I guess of course it's possible, and so you should just discount it altogether. But
well, the point for me is just like, okay, you know, unless somebody can draw this kind of instrumental connection between the constant taking certain values and something valuable to God, where it's like, okay, and I'm not being strict here about instrumental. You know, I don't mean like, you know, it requires it or something like that. Maybe just even some explanation of how it's the best available like means. Because like, and that's even granting too much to an omnipotent God too, right? Because it's like, okay, if it's a means to an end, like he's omnipotent, like that, you know. But okay, maybe I grant that. Okay, there's value in certain ways of doing things or something like that, you know. Why this, you know, and it kind of falls under the umbrella of like, why does it seem, even just granting all their like divine hiddenness apologetics, okay, why is like naturalism this like epistemic screen that God chooses to use? Why is this like the veil where it's like, it looks like naturalism might be the case, you know? It could have easily looked like naturalism was false. Like it could have been wizards, all kinds of, I mean, maybe we want to haggle about semantics and naturalism, but like, you know, could have been living in Harry Potter world here or something, you know? And it's like, okay, of all the worlds that, you know, God would still be just as hidden in worlds like that, where it was kind of clear naturalism wasn't right, you know? So I don't know, there just seems to be this weird bias that because the evidence is sort of compatible with naturalism, that just becomes the foil, the epistemic foil of God that he's hiding, you know? Like, I just find that strange. I don't know how to put that in a kind of, you know, forceful way in a debate, you know, but I wish some.
Maybe.
But the other area that causal interference stuff comes up is I think that there's like a skeptical argument against interactionism in Phil's mind, where it's like, okay, you know, you have the old school interaction problem, but then you have like an epistemic version of it where it's like, how do you know that the stuff, so you have this stuff from physics, right? These regularities in physics. How do you know that those are not just the result of causal interference? You know, and it could be systematic causal interference between physical and non-physical stuff. But the idea is like, until you tell me why I should think that the interaction is kind of localized to the brain, you know, you have to like, you kind of have to piggyback on the physics stuff, you know, in order to then say, you know, the interference is localized to the brain. Like, why should I think it's not rampant, you know, throughout the universe? You know, and the idea is like, there could be an ideal theory of physics which tells you this is what the physical stuff would do if there was no interference, right? But when you're making predictions, the idea is that a candidate theory could make a successful prediction, but only due to interference, right? And you would like naively confirm that, but you'd actually be confirming a theory that is not what the ideal theory says would happen, right? Yeah. So there's like a whole there's like a whole skeptical worry there, where it's like until you answer, you know, how and where, and how to what degree there is interference, you can't tell me what the theory of physics even is.
Yeah. Maybe. One second.
Oh, Jack, I did want to, if you're there, I did want to ask you something going back to this like practical stuff, or rule following stuff.
Yeah.
He's not there now. He's not there now.
Yeah. It's just debating. It's still.
I mean, basically, I wanted to ask him what he thinks is like. I like what Kripke said.
Wait, were you talking to me?
Stuff.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question about the rule following stuff.
Wait, let me just switch to Wi-Fi. One second. Okay. Am I connected?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, I'm wondering if there is there like, so okay, I like the Kripke rules for private language stuff, rules in private. Never remember if it's for. I kind of agree with everything he said there, and like he was pretty staunchly an anti-physicalist, but at least on my reading of him, he doesn't seem to think that this is like a special issue for physicalism or whatever. He thinks it's like it's a skeptical worry for everybody, and he ends up adopting the kind of skeptical solution to it and all this stuff. So, is there like a place that it came from originally where that was kind of like used against physicalism, or because I can't see it in the Kripke original paper book on it. So I don't know. Is it like, is there a particular person that it comes from where it gets run against it?
I'm not sure in the literature who reads Kripke that way. I seem to think there are people, but I'm not really sure who they are. I mean, Bilgrami says that rule following considerations show that there's can't be an analytic identity between the normative and natural or something like that. But he doesn't think it shows that there couldn't be a synthetic identity. So I'm not sure who in the literature thinks it's like stronger than that. But there probably are. I seem to recall thinking there were people like that I've come across, but I don't remember who they are.
Yeah, there's definitely a sympathy I have for the idea that the private language argument and the rule following argument. I mean, I think the original Wittgenstein stuff more so than the Kripke stuff, but there's something there that I think a lot of people ignore, which is like, okay, yeah, it's almost this distinction between first personal and third personal, like, concepts. I don't know, it seems like it underdetermines a lot of the stuff in Philip mind, where like the dualists and the physicalists should kind of all agree about certain things that I don't know, it's like they pretend to disagree with them when fighting with each other. Like Destroyer, I was talking to you the other day about how the idea is that, you know, dualists think that there is still this kind of causal description of the state, of the relevant mental state, where that would be third personally accessible, you know? Yeah, I mean, I do agree with some of that like, I like that example with the party, where it's like you either predict that you will go to the party or you intend to. Yeah, I'm kind of partial to some ways that maybe Bill Bromley would agree with. I guess I just don't go as far as the non-naturalism, the metaphysical stuff. I probably still end up disagreeing with him on.
Yeah.
Yo, Rody. What's going on, man?
Playing chess too much.
Playing chess too much.
Yeah.
Have you been losing a bunch?
Winning a bunch. Not like chess.
Pretty good.
Oh, pretty good. I'm still not well. It's on cool. I think it's for 5 minutes.
Well, it's 5 minutes of blitz.
No. Yeah, but I like the 5 minutes. That was.
I think it's funny that they call a 10-minute rapid. I think that shit's slow as hell. That's what I. Yeah, I can go through phases with chess. Like sometimes I'll just be getting my ass kicked, and then I'll have a streak of like dominating people. Then I'll be getting my ass kicked again.
I prefer poker to chess.
You're insane. We need to get a poker team going. I've actually wanted to for a while.
I was like the president of my poker society at uni.
Wait, there's gay poker? Oh, I guess.
Don't even get me started.
It's in the name.
Don't even get me started.
No, it's poker. So it's actually.
Yeah, not pokem.
Not. It would be pokem.
I moved in at one point with another member of the society. It was a whole thing. Yeah. I was such a degenerate.
Was you?
Yeah.
You know, they had pool tables at the campus center where I went to school, and I would just fuck people up in there. I would just wreck people.
Fuck them up.
They were not very good.
What's your original name?
Sorry?
I asked, what's your rating right now? Chess.
21-ish, something like that. 22.
Hey, Tori, do you recommend any like books for chess, or like what's this? How do you learn the chess theories?
Endgame, Dvoretsky.
Yes, I don't know what that.
Then find gold videos.
I mean, yeah, I guess looking at a little bit of some openings, playing along, doing puzzles, sort of thing.
Yeah, puzzles is the thing that everybody recommends that I don't do enough of. So maybe I should do more puzzles.
No,
I know. I always play the same, few openings, and that really helps me. Like I really stick to using the same openings over and over and over again.
So Hikaru had a really good advice for beginners. I have no idea what's for beginners. It's basically to do a lot of gambits because it basically requires you to use the pieces better.
The reason I do the same stuff over and over again is because you need to learn, so you start with the opening, and then there's all, the ways that opening can, break apart, And it's I don't know, if you just do the same one over and over and over again, you, learn the variations of that opening. As opposed to, if you experiment a bunch, you're only going to learn, half as many of the...
I think they found it already on the 6th.
That's what I thought. I read it was 6.
Okay, and that's the one you need to find.
It's new growth possible. But the happy ending is never guaranteed. The trickster can be regenerative or ruinous. Coyote brings fire. Raven brings the sun. Loki brings Armageddon. Hyde's argument is it Tricksters are for cultures, both necessary and dangerous. They represent a tension every culture has to grapple with. Because a culture, a society that cannot meet disruption and change with creativity, cannot survive change. A culture that cannot protect its core values, however, will eventually be consumed by corruption. We are living in an age of chaos. We are living in an age of tricksters. Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson and Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes and Bronze Age pervert. The grammar of the modern right is tricksy. What is serious and what is not?
The chainsaw for bureaucracy.
I was one of the OG nut jobs.
Why did they say that? And how did they get away with it? The dominant personalities of the age have gathered power by bulldozing customs and taboos, by saying what cannot be said.
Why is it we only take people from shithole countries?
By doing what should not be done. Hyde said that Americans love a trickster. They love a con man because he embodies things that are actually true about America but cannot be openly declared. That may have been true in 1998 when Hyde wrote his book. I can see the argument that American institutions and American culture had ossified in some ways in the years since, that our society become too rule-bound and bureaucratized, that too much had become unsayable, that there's too little openness to real transgression and invention. But today, there's little that can no longer be said. The ideas and morals upon which the best of our culture was built have been more than disrupted, they've been desecrated. The question now is whether that disruption can be met with creativity and renewal, or whether it'll simply bring us ruin. This is the central question of Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. Nolan's Odyssey hinges on Zeus's law. Treat the beggar and the stranger as you would want to be treated. But as a horde of classicists have now pointed out, that is not Zeus's law, at least not in antiquity. Zeus's law is narrower. It's more a demand for hospitality towards the guest or the stranger, with the admonition that there could be punishment because anybody could be a god in disguise. It's not a law of compassion, not of reciprocity. And so here we find Nolan's central trick. Nolan has smuggled the core of Judeo-Christian ethics into the center of the Odyssey. Zeus's law in Nolan's Odyssey echoes Leviticus 19:34. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you are foreigners in Egypt. Notice that, love them as yourself. It echoes Rabbi Hillel, who said, what is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow. That is the whole Torah. The rest is commentary. It echoes Matthew 7:12 when Jesus says, in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. For this sums up the concocts the trick of the Trojan horse. When he takes advantage of Troy's veneration of the same gods he worships, takes advantage of the commonality between them to sack the city, to make its streets run with blood, to burn it to the ground. Is he a hero or a villain? Was that a trick or a crime? To Homer, he was a hero. To Nolan, he is a soul in need of redemption. Between Homer's time and our own came a revolution in civilizational values, an upending of what it means to be civilized. We have human rights law. We have laws governing war. They did not. Which side of that divide are we on now? The modern right believes that Western civilization has lost the appetite for strength and dominance and hierarchy, and I would say cruelty, that built it in the first place. There's a reason a theorist named Bronze Age pervert, of all things, became required reading for young Trumpists. A reason right-wing intellectuals like Curtis Yarvin and Michael Anton muse about the need for an American Caesar. A reason the Trump administration is obsessed with Roman-style architecture. They are circling this era for a reason. A recent exchange Elon Musk had on X reveals how far this thinking has gone. A user told Musk it was time to wise up, to abandon liberalism, because universal suffrage leads to universal suffering. Musk's reply, I have wised up. Helen of Troy in Nolan's Odyssey is not the reason for the war. She's an excuse for a war launched to dominate routes of trade. It's a telling choice amidst an administration that is crashing into the global trading order because it seeks more dominance over its flows. When Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, released his cry of protest at Davos against this regime, he also reached back to an older age to describe what he saw happening.
The strong can do what they can, and the weak must suffer what they must. And this aphorism of Thucydides is presented as inevitable, as the natural logic of international relations reasserting itself.
Is this the way you build a prosperous, strong, secure world? When Nolan's Odysseus recalls the sacking of Troy, he blanches at the memory of 10 years of rage and fury pouring into a city in a single night. Sitting in that theater, I found it hard not to think of the built-up rage that Hamas poured into Israel on October 7th, and that Israel has poured into Gaza 100-fold since. Benjamin Netanyahu has described Israel's future as Athens and Super Sparta. Athens and Super Sparta. Yuval Noah Harari, the Israeli-born historian who wrote *Sapiens*, sees the irony of this clearly.
Rome has its usefulness, but if after 2,000 years the Jews simply become the Romans, what was the point? Why did you waste 2,000 years then? You could have just become Roman back then.
And this, I think, is Nolan's finest trick. To make one of our oldest moral rules sound new again. To turn the best of Judeo-Christianity into the law of Zeus, so we can see why it might matter, what it might still have to say to us. What Odysseus sees eventually is that his violations of the moral order have brought ruin to all around him. Agamemnon, the king who launched the war against Troy, is dead, his throat slit by his wife, who never forgave him for sacrificing their daughter for fair winds. Troy is destroyed. Ithaca, Odysseus' beloved home, is overrun by suitors who seek his wife and his land and think nothing of murdering his son to get it. Odysseus and his men were not fighting the barbarians, they were the barbarians, and their actions led to more barbarity. So too has the political movement in our time that rose promising to make Western civilization great again, America great again, betrayed its inheritance.
You're gambling with World War III.
Now and sees us as the barbarians. We are the country obliterating the global order. We are the country that takes what we want and demands tribute from those without the strength to resist. And what the political opposition has to do now is to recognize what Nolan recognized, that it is actually an affirmation of our core values to say cruelty is weakness. It is only compassion and reciprocity that can build a durable and decent society. Order is necessary, but order without ethics and decency is perversion or authoritarianism. There is so much beauty and wisdom in the injunction to avoid inflicting on others what we would not see turned against us, in remembering that we were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Oh, isn't that nice?
At the end of his book,
Isn't that
Hyde
nice?
considers when does a
I didn't
church
hear nothing about truth. I didn't
when does
hear
it end
nothing
in
about
domination?
peace.
And his answer is when you cannot rejoin the worlds.
Let's just give
Loki
him a
is bound
pass.
beneath the earth.
Let's
Poison
just give
dripped
him
on him
another
for eternity.
pass.
And eventually Armageddon is the result. Ruin. Hermes, in Greek mythology,
Here we go.
becomes the connector between our world and the underworld. He is the one who guides Persephone in spring to return each year. It is only when severed worlds can be bonded that cultures can rediscover their strength. I don't want to make this too didactic here at the end, so I'll just say this. Justice and progress in America have come repeatedly when those seeking it realize that the language of the Torah, of the Bible, and of the Declaration of Independence can be wielded on behalf of a better world, that they are agents for change, not for the status quo. I would say it has been some time since religion and liberalism and patriotism had a comfortable relationship in this country, since they were tightly bonded. But the shape of the modern right has created space to do that work again. Regeneration is hard. It requires seeing old values in new ways. It requires recognizing that a moral inheritance that is collapsed into cliche can still hold power in an age when it has been debased and forgotten. Nolan's Odysseus is not a trickster. He's a man living in the ruins brought about by tricksters. So too are we. This movie, the hunger for it, I think is a sign that the age of the trickster is ending. That is not what we need now. Now we need those who would remake.
It's ending. It's all over. There's never gonna be no more tricksters. Nice musician. Nice
There you go.
music.
Will Ezra Klein with some dramatic music. Yeah, that's the op-ed that I guess they transcribed it from the video. But there you go, Normo. There's the piece.
Very nice, Scott.
Well, I don't even know if it was a good try. I mean, I didn't even like the music, to be honest.
Do you think that his critique of I felt like his critique, especially of like why how you could compare that to like modern day. I know he mentioned like Michael Anton. Who's that other guy? Bronze Age.
Can't even
pervert,
get a statement out that's coherent.
I mean, when he was talking about like the golden rule and I guess when you try to compare that to Christianity, if you look at like what our Pope says, for example, it
can't even make one sentence.
You know, a lot of the rhetoric that a lot of these people would have, like it's
well, the Pope was against war, and I think that's his job. He's the Pope.
No, well, okay, so for example, to be cruel or to mistreat foreigners, for example, the Pope is totally against that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
you guys are great candidates to speak for the Pope. Please continue.
Well, so I mean, he has some insight into it.
I mean, I have beliefs that go against the Catholic Church, but it's pretty clear that the stances that a lot of people would that hold, and of course he brought up many of them were Jewish. Who was that? Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller.
I think he's a non-Jewish Jew, though. I
don't. Well, in other words, I want to hold them to a Christian standard if they're not Christians. The only reason I bring it up.
But Pepe, I think that the trick, what I see as a trick, and I put in the chat, like this is such a bland Protestant take, right?
Yes, and bland. I agree.
It always comes from people on the left who want to seem as though they understand or have certain, Ezra Klein, I'm not saying that I've ever heard him say it. It's a type of thing that he's trying to get across, which a lot of people on the far left do. See, I would be a Christian if the Christians were actually as good as, but the Christians aren't good enough Christians for me to throw my slot in with them, right? And they turn Christianity into this bland. It's like a single drop of milk in a glass of water. It just acquiesces and turns into nothing, right? It's just this bland horse shit, okay? And, mentioning justice without categorizing what justice is, which, by the way, comes from Greek and Roman philosophy and then is transmitted to the Catholic Church, right? There's other ones, but if we're talking about Christianity, Protestant or otherwise, all of that comes through Roman law, Roman ethics, Roman justice. And it's just fucking so, gay.
But do you think the Roman Catholic Church would, of all of the names he mentioned that are influential on the right, I think they would think that what they're doing is rather unchristian and sinful and harmful.
I mean, in fairness to Klein, he wasn't just mentioning Christianity; he was mentioning Judaism, which is a Jew. basic point is, or at least one of his more powerful
The
references.
Native American religion too, and African religion.
One of his most powerful references to Judaism was the decimation of Rome against the Jews, and what that did to the Jewish people as far as kind of seeking out about what it means to be a small minority and persecuted. And the point that if we become Roman after this, I think that directly relates to his Jewish character, not to the Christian element. I mean, I kind of agree with the basic point that I think the U.S. is kind of turning away from cruelty as the point of politics, and I think we're going to see that. I would predict somebody like John Alsing. I would predict somebody like John Alsing or somebody like that that kind of sweeps the messages of that next president.
I'm not saying that you're not obviously, right? But I feel like it's a little cheap, straw man. Like there, spare the rod, spoil the child, right? Like that. There's just many lines that go opposite direction, and the term that we have coined nowadays, suicide.
You can like or not, right? I mean that's fine. I mean, I know you can make an argument that it doesn't do Homer justice. You could say this is what it means to bring Homer to bear in late modern society. But I don't think he's wrong now, right? I think that there is a moralizing in Nolan's work here that is in tension with the original work he's reimagining. Right?
I was kind of looking for the word. I guess he was criticizing people on the right who I'd say, if I would broadly put them in a category, they're much more like Nietzschean, as opposed to Christian.
Oh,
I think it's, I thought his critique was really fair about, at least when it came to the right.
About what? Oh, when it came to the right, huh? Okay,
well, when it comes to the movie, it's also, Klein had this piece, but what was the actual motivation of Nolan? Like, I don't think it would have sold as many tickets if he kept to pagan themes. And, making a movie that is relatable to cultural themes is probably also just a sheer good economic decision. Yeah, it's a movie.
It's a movie.
Story of the Odyssey.
I mean, pagan themes would mean you keep to the original book in which Odysseus was a trickster. He wasn't in self-doubt. He fucked a lot of goddesses. He didn't really care. Like that is.
In other words, he was human and resourceful as a warrior.
Yeah. But Klein's point.
But that's not the movie.
Yeah, but also Klein's point would be, we would not. Well, I think, I would agree with this point too. What we would conceive as normative for human behavior in light of the Torah, in light of the New Testament, in light of the appropriation, which Mike said, comes through, conceptions of justice that come to us through Greco-Roman philosophy, etc. We would say that these things are an advance on what Odysseus, on the kind of humanity he embodies, right? That there's an advance in civilization that would make being human in Odysseus' way now a regression.
Oh, I think that's universally agreed. That's a no-brainer. He's almost an abject lesson. I mean, Greek tales often boil down to one word, hubris. And that certainly applies here. And I think it's good that Nolan avoided what everybody has always said about Greek tales, which is people who soar too close to the sun. But what I was saying before is that I think his attempt to project his leftist or slightly left of center values onto the Christopher Nolan film and to open with mention of Elon Musk is just ridiculous.
I think it's
worse. It's ridiculous.
I think it's worse than that. We're so stick to this. Talk about interject on this politics. I think, the same sense that the tortilla chip is merely a conveyance to your mouth or salsa, like Ezra Klein used this movie as a conveyance for his politics. And so I think we have a lot to talk about his politics and where we can agree with him. And, you know, in that's where it comes to the point of state that without saying what justice is. Right?
Well, yeah, you're kind of like because it's an op-ed piece of a few, 900,000 words. But
Yeah,
in a dissertation, you couldn't do that, right? If I was doing a treatise on ethics,
justices. I mean, you can say, well, Plato thought justice, right?
Plato has no business in modern world stuff.
I'm just saying that's one.
Oh my God, this is beautiful.
This was
beautiful.
Justice. Homer, like the
Nobody cares about Homer.
What do you mean? Okay,
Okay,
we're literally talking about Homer.
Socrates said,
he's such a worthless human being.
unseemly about the young man's body by the bronze steer. In his death, all things seem fair. Right? That is the old, what is being called the old pagan form of justice.
That's right.
Say is also the old Roman form of justice. Right? The Romans were bringing that back, and it is an important admixture. He's talking about uniting the trickster, the new with the old. That's what we've done. That's what Christianity has done. Okay? And so the new conception of justice, from a particularly a Catholic point of view, but from a Christian point of view, is that justice is when, if you have the ability to do good things for the goodness in someone else, you have a moral responsibility to do that. And that fact is why it is immoral to give a homeless person alcohol. But it is moral to give them a bed or shoes or food. Any of us recognize that. If you don't, you should look yourself in the mirror and start thinking about morality. Because helping the ills, the vices of a person is the opposite of justice. Helping the virtues of a person, that is justice. But the left wants to get on every fucking social media app. If you don't let the kids eat ice cream, you're not Christian. If you don't let your fucking grandma throw herself off a bridge, you're not Christian. Your grandma wants to throw herself off. You don't let us kill kids.
Well, that'd be nice.
You're not a Christian.
But there is, you do get, like, look, obviously, if we start talking about abortion, which the Catholics would, I can only guess what Ezra Klein's answer would be, what else? Who knows? Right? He's not going to have a religious tuned in. He's probably going to, then kind of have a say, oh, well, that's kind of oppressive that the church wants to impose these kinds of rules, like banning abortion, that kind of shit. So I obviously he has a strong bias, that. But I still, I do think that it's a lot of what we see on the right today. They're not. It's despite them even saying they're Christian and how Christian they are and how important Christianity is. I personally, I think most of them are kind of full of shit. Just to be honest with you, just as I've always known kids I grew up with they're still religious to this day. They just don't. They just don't. I don't see that. I don't see them ever proposing the kinds of things they will propose, and I don't know. It's what the fuck is Christian about Trump? Even.
Well, and it's a lot of straw manning of a case Klein didn't make, and ignoring the quotes from people like Stephen Miller of the case that
even
this
Miller
of the case that this administration did make, because the case that this administration is making is more of the older case of might makes right, and the weak must suffer what they must.
Yeah,
and which is fair, but I also don't think I think it's a little intellectually dishonest to say well, he didn't fully define what justice is. He didn't, and we have all these left people saying you must give your child ice cream.
But Stephen Miller
you have all these left people saying you must feed your child ice cream to be a good Christian. I just think that's kind of a bullshit argument, frankly.
Okay, but if you look at Stephen Miller, he is a white nationalist. He is, like, I would say probably Nietzschean is good. You know, his buddy who
Stephen Miller is definitely a white nationalist. I agree with that.
And you know, I talked to his buddy. They went to Duke together.
You talked to his buddy?
Richard Spencer, he was the leader of the alt-right back in 2010.
He was the leader!
Up too. I hear their rhetoric, the rhetoric of a lot of and he named them by name. They are obviously, I would say they're not what I would consider religious. They are might makes right. They do value things that you really probably shouldn't as a Christian, and it's I don't know, it's I'm trying to figure out how to put this. It's not too disconnected from even, let's say, Nazism in a way.
Really?
And I'm talking about like the fundamental beliefs under the
fundamental beliefs. What are those fundamental beliefs, PP? Hello? Good one, PP. Oh man, what a great Sunday night. So informative. Such great analysis. Hello? Hello?
So just in terms of just pure cinema and having fun or not having fun, and enjoying and entertaining, for those who have seen The Odyssey, what's like out of 10, what do you give it? Has anyone seen The Odyssey?
Yes.
Of course.
I loved it. I thought it was an amazing story.
It was an amazing.
What about the film?
It was an amazing story.
Marshall, the film.
Hello?
Oh, what about it?
Like, what's
Hello, what about it?
Oh, I liked it.
It was an amazing story.
I liked it a lot. I'm one of those people who doesn't like the fact that there were black people in an Indian prison just doesn't bother me. Like, okay, great, like there's stand-ins for the people who would have originally done it. You know, I'm not all that bothered by it. Right? It's Americans producing a movie about something that's Greek and European. Right? Like, you're obviously going to get an American perspective when you produce it.
Norm, what did you think of it? Did you see The Odyssey? Did you like it?
Oh, well, of course I loved it. I would say it's almost impossible not to love it. I also thought the first 90 minutes were virtually unwatchable. And I was like, get me out of here. And then when it came to the homecoming, which is really, I think, the emotional center of the film, I loved it. I loved him. Anne Hathaway. I thought Pattinson was adequate. I could not see the relevance of much of the other stuff. I thought the adventures were poorly represented. I thought the giant thing part, that's what was meant to be Nolan-esque action. Somehow it didn't work. There were way too many scenes of him just floating on the waves again. It's like, enough already, I get it. He was at sea for 10 years, but we don't have to see 10 years of shots of him on the sea. But I think Damon is a terrific actor. I think this was his best role. I think he'll get Best Actor for this. I don't think Nolan will get Best Picture, but, the year is young. We'll see. Hathaway's amazing. Is it Lake Wazamo who played the mentor? Does anybody remember who played the mentor?
Yeah. The old guy, that's blind. Yeah. He was. I thought
that was John Leguizamo.
He was great.
He really was.
Holy cow, he was great. My old teacher from school played the Cyclops, and I was really looking forward to Cyclops and Giants, and I didn't think they were very good at all. They were more like attempts or something. This guy got a MacArthur grant, by the way. Bill Irwin, he got a Genius grant. I mean, Nolan is amazing. He's an amazing filmmaker. I think this was maybe 1/3 of a success and 2/3 of a fail. But I still loved it. I mean, I love going. I love the event. I love the fact that we're still talking about it. I love the fact that it sold a lot of tickets. But I love Spider-Man as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man's doing very well at the box office as well, and I'm surprised this one's making more than Oppenheimer. I didn't expect that, but it's blown past Oppenheimer.
Look at it as tickets. Plus, there's the event aspect of it, which people are looking for, right? I mean, Oppenheimer is still coming out of the pandemic. It was the movie that got us out of our homes and into the theater. And this is like, you've got to see it in 70 millimeter. Not that I haven't. I saw it on a conventional screen. But, I mean, it's a must-see, right?
Yeah.
Do you like films as much as you like politics, or not really?
No, I love films more than I like politics, yeah.
You have some good taste. You should connect with Roy. I know she kept calling you Canada or something, but she really liked hearing your stuff.
Yeah, I thought I just a lot of this film screamed. I saw a lot of Kurosawa in it, and I liked it, and I liked how the minimalism. It was clean and minimal aesthetic. I came to appreciate the space.
Refused to
he spent a bunch of money, use practical effects, but it was
money is easy.
You know, I didn't think that the settings were obviously the actual ruins, and they look like contemporary settings. Look, I can, yeah. I mean, I don't want.
That's because they actually filmed in Greece.
I understand that, but they were obviously ruined. So.
But nobody cares about the Odyssey, right? The Odyssey.
Yes, we do. That's David. That's what we're talking about.
We do care.
If you would like to be in the conversation, great. If you just want to listen, that's also great.
Yeah, but with all due respect,
we're not doing this. Hey, Tommy, what's up,
dude? With utmost no respect to you, David.
How dare you?
You can suck a fat show, dude.
What? Bully.
No, you're drunk and you're talking on the mic.
He should apologize. He should apologize.
David, you're drunk. I can tell.
He left. Why accept this apology?
We're talking about the Odyssey. You're tanked, and it's okay.
Well, I think the Odyssey is, I don't understand the appeal.
There's a lot of things.
And so for this debate and for this topic, I'm saying, yes, this means that Cypher, he's going to have to argue that the nuclear program was a major cause of the war. Yet he's going to have to argue why preventing Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons did not become such a central justification for war and military actions that we've done.
I glance to rapture's darkling route,
discarding name, form, sight, and stress, even of this consciousness.
Pierced to the heart, I leave thee here. Thou art the master I revere, thy radiance that rolls afar. O brother of the silver star. Crowley.
There is one light of the sun, though it is distributed over walls, mountains, and other things infinite there. There is one common substance, though it is distributed among countless bodies which have their several qualities. There is one soul, though it is distributed among infinite natures and circumspections. There is one intelligent soul, though it seems to be divided now in the things which have been mentioned, all the other parts, such as those which are air and substance, are without sensation and have no fellowship. And yet even these parts the intelligent principle holds together, and the gravitate to him towards the same. But intellect in a peculiar manner tends to that which is of the same kin, and combines with it, and the feeling for communion is not interrupted. Man, thou hast been a citizen in this great state. What difference does it make to thee whether for 5 years? For that which is conformable to the laws is just for all. Where is the hardship then, if no tyrant nor yet an unjust judge sends thee away from the state, but nature who brought thee into it? The same as if a praetor who has employed an actor dismisses him from the stage. But I have not finished the 5 acts, but only 3 of them. Thou sayest well, but in life the 3 acts of a whole drama, for what shall be a complete drama is the time wagon, who was once the cause of its composition and now of its dissolution. But thou art the cause of neither department satisfied, for he also who releases thee is satisfied. When thou hast seen Citerum the Socratic, think of either Eutyches or Hymen. And when thou hast seen Euphrates, think of Eutychian or Silvanus. And when thou hast seen Alcaphron, think of Tropaeophorus. And when thou hast seen Xenophon, think of Crito or Severus. And when thou hast looked on thyself, think of any other Caesar. And in the case of every one doing like manner, then let this thought be in thy mind. Where then are those men? Nowhere, or nobody knows where, for thus continuously thou wilt look at human things as smoke and nothing at all, especially if thou reflectest at the same time that what has once changed will never exist again in the infinite duration of time. But thou, in what a brief space of time is thy existence, and why art thou not content to pass through this short time in an orderly way? What matter and opportunity for thy activity art thou avoiding? For what else are all these things except exercises for the reason, when it has viewed carefully and by examination into their nature the things which happen in life? Persevere then until thou shalt have made these things thy own, as the stomach which is strengthened makes all things its own, as the blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it.
There are 7 keys to the great gate, being 8 in 1 and 1 in 8. First let the body of thee be still, bound by the cerements of will. Corpse rigid thus thou mayst abort the fidget babes that tease the thought. Next, let the breath rhythm be low, easy, regular, and slow, so that thy being be in tune with the great sea's Pacific swoon. Third, let thy life be pure and calm, swayed softly as a windless palm. Fourth, let the will to live be bound to the one love of the profound. Fifth, let the thought divinely free from sense observe its entity. Watch every thought that springs, enhance hour after hour thy vigilance. Intense and keen, turn inward, miss no atom of analysis. Sixth, on one thought securely pinned, still every whisper of the wind. So like a flame, straight and unstirred, burn up thy being in one word. Next, till that ecstasy prolong thy meditation steep and strong, slaying even God should he distract thy attention from the chosen Last, all these things in one o'erpowered, time that the midnight blossom flowered. The oneness is yet even in this, my son, thou shalt not do amiss. If thou restrain the expression, shoot thy glance to rapture's darkling root, discarding name, form, sight, and stress, even of this high consciousness. Pierce to the heart, I leave thee here. Thou art the master I revere. Thy radiance that rolls afar, O brother of the silver star. Pray.
There is one light of the sun, though it is distributed. Over walls, mountains, and other things, infinite there, is one common substance, though it is distributed among countless bodies which have their several qualities. There is one soul, though it is distributed among infinite natures and circumspections. There is one intelligent soul, though it seems to be divided now in the things which have been mentioned, all the other parts, such as those which are air and substance, are without sensation and have no fellowship. And yet even these parts the intelligent principle holds together and they gravitating towards the same. But intellect in a peculiar manner tends to that which is of the same kin and combines with it, and the feeling for communion is not interrupted. Man, thou hast been a citizen in this great state. What difference does it make to thee whether for 5 years? For that which is conformable to the laws is just for all. Where is the hardship then?
If no tyrant nor yet an unjust judge sends thee away from the state, but nature who brought thee into it, the same as if a praetor who has employed an actor dismisses him from the stage. But I have not finished the 5 acts, but only 3 of them. Thou sayest well, but in life the 3 acts are the whole drama. For what shall be a complete drama is determined by him who was once the cause of its composition, and now of its dissolution. But thou art the cause of neither depart then satisfied. For he also who releases thee is satisfied. When thou hast seen Satyr and the Socratic, think of either Eutyches or Hymen. And when thou hast seen Euphrates, think of Eutychian or Silvanus. And when thou hast seen Alciphron, think of Tropiophorus. And when thou hast seen Xenophon, think of Crito or Severus. And when thou hast looked on thyself, think of any other Caesar, and in the case of every one do in like manner. Then let this thought be in thy mind. Where then are those men? Nowhere, or nobody knows where, for thus continuously thou wilt look at human things as smoke and nothing at all, especially if thou reflectest at the same time that what has once changed will never exist again in the infinite duration of time. But thou, in what a brief space of time is thy existence? And why art thou not content to pass through this short time in an orderly way? What matter and opportunity for thy activity art thou avoiding? For what else are all these things except exercises for the reason, when it has viewed carefully and by examination into their nature the things which happen in life? Persevere, then, until thou shalt have made these things thy own, as the stomach which is strength and makes all things its own, as the blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it.
There are 7 keys to the great gate, being 8 in one and 1 in 8. First, let the body of thee be still, bound by the cerements of will. Thoughts written thus thou mayst abort, the fitted babes that tease the thought. Next, let the breath rhythm be low, easy, regular, and slow, so that thy being be in tune with the great seas Pacific soon. Third, let thy life be pure and calm, swaying softly as a windless palm. Fourth, let the will to live be bound to the one love of the profound. Fifth, let the thought divinely free from sense observe its entity. Watch every thought that springs in hands, hour after hour thy vigilance, and tense and keen turn witness no atom of analysis. 611 thought securely pinned. Still every whisper of the wind. So like a flame straight and unstirred. Burn up thy being in one word. Next, still that ecstasy prolonged. Thy meditation steep and strong. Slave even God should he distract thy attention from the chosen act. Last all these things in one overpowered. Time that the midnight blossom flowered. The oneness is yet even in this. My son, thou shalt not do amiss. If thou restrain the expression, shoot thy glance to rapture's darkling root. Discarding false sight and stress, even of this high consciousness. Here's to the heart I leave thee here. Thou art the master I revere. Thy radiance that rolls afar. Oh, brother of the silver star. Ready?
God, the eternal, he begets not and is not begotten, nor is there like unto him anyone. Unity uttermost shows and other things infinity. There is one common substance, though it is distributed among countless bodies which have their several qualities. There is one soul, though it is distributed among infinite natures and circumspection. There is one intelligent soul, though it seems to be divided now in the things which have been mentioned, all the other parts, such as those which are air and substance, are without sensation and have no fellowship. And yet even these parts the intelligent principle holds together, and the gravitation towards the same, for intellect in a peculiar manner tends to that which is of the same kin, and combines to it. And the feeling for communion is not intellect. Man, thou hast been a citizen in this great state. What difference does it make to thee whether for 5 years or 3? For that which is conformable to the laws is just for all. Where is the hardship then? If no tyrant nor yet an unjust judge sends thee away from the state, but nature who brought thee into it, the same as if a praetor who has employed an actor dismisses him from the stage. But I have not finished the 5 acts, but only 3 of them. Thou sayest well, but in life the 3 acts are the whole drama. For what shall be a complete drama is determined by him who was once the cause of its composition, and now of its dissolution. But thou art the cause of neither depart than satisfied, for he also who releases thee is satisfied. When thou hast seen Saturn, the Socratic think of either Eutyches or Hymen. And when thou hast seen Euphrates, think of Eutychion or Sylvanus. And when thou hast seen Alcatron, think of Trobaiophorus. And when thou hast seen Xenophon, think of Crito or Severus. And when thou hast looked on myself, think of any other Caesar. And in the case of everyone, do in like manner. Then let this thought be in thy mind. Where then are those men? Nowhere, or nobody knows where, for thus continuously thou wilt look at human things as smoke and nothing at all, especially if thou reflectest at the same time that what has once changed will never exist again in the infinite duration of time. But thou, in what a brief space of time is thy existence. And why art thou not content to pass through this short time in an orderly way? What matter and opportunity for thy activity art thou avoiding? For what else are all these things except exercises for the reason, when it has viewed carefully and by examination into their nature the things which happen in life? Persevere then, until thou shalt have made these things thy own. As the stomach which is strengthened makes all things its own, as the blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it.
There are 7 keys to the great gate, being 8 in 1 and 1 in 8. First, let the body of thee be still, bound by the cerements of will. Corpse rigid, thus thou mayst abort the fidget babes that tease the thought. Next, let the breath rhythm be low.
With a great sea's Pacific swoon. Third, let thy life be pure and calm, swayed softly as a windless palm.
Fourth, let the will to live be bound to the one love of the profound.
Fifth, let the thought divinely free from sense observe its entity. Watch every thought that springs, enhance hour after hour thy vigilance.
Intense and keen, turned inwardness, no atom of analysis.
Sixth on one thought securely pinned.
Well, I wouldn't say I watched it, but I followed it.
The Patriot. Fucking love piece of man.
Did you see when his lawyer put the Randy, the cop, the Sheriff Randy, on the stand, and then Randy's ex-wife on the stand, and his lawyer, in the most comedic way possible, put on an absolute clinic on how to deal with bullshit allegations, and it was funny as hell, man.
Wait, so I don't know about why he can't trial. What did he do?
Motels, things like that, and he would literally fuck the crackheads and meth heads just for the sake of like not arresting them. That was like his little way of getting some extra pussy. He would fuck crackheads and then not arrest them. And his brother is actually I don't know if he's definitely guilty or just alleged sex offender, child